Um, being in the air and controlling that aircraft was a dream that Stephen had. Most people just say, I'm gonna be a pilot, go to work, collect a check, go home, go to bed. Not Stephen. So he decided, not only am I gonna be a pilot, but I'm gonna change the industry. But you're just one person. Watch, bitch, I got this. So next thing I know, I hear of this organization called the National Gay Pilots Association, NGPA. Organization's been around for a very long time. And you know, me being in diversity and doing all my whole gay inclusion work, I was impressed. But he didn't just want to be in the organization, he wanted to be on the board. Went on to have other things, but I'm sure we're going to talk about that a little bit more. I asked these two gentlemen to come up because Stephen stands between the two of them. And NGPA meant the world to him. And it wasn't so much as just the organization, it was the lives that he had the ability to touch, the difference that he had the ability to make. And so with that said, the chairman of the board of the NGPA, actually, can I have Steve Reynolds as well? And I'm doing this for a reason, because all of you pilots that are in the room that meant so much to Stephen, and he meant so much to you, I want you to look at the generational differences that you see. Stephen stood as a bridge for the legacy pilots that paved the way for the work that he was able to do. And for you young pilots in the room, we hold you personally accountable to continue that work and to continue to look to them as mentors, as guides, and to be involved and do not let his life be in vain. So with that said, please welcome the chairman of the board of the NGPA, Mr. Scott Shatzer.
Give our tribute to Stephen Moore, our dear friend. For those of us who are here today with the National Gay Pilots Association, this will be especially meaningful. But all of you will enjoy this defining story of how Stephen found this organization. Our total reach of members includes over 2,000 individuals within the LGBT community, and it was a key part of what defined Stephen's larger-than-life self over the past 5 years. As Courtney said, my name is Scott Shatzer, and I had the privilege and honor to work with Stephen for the last year as the chairman of the board, and Stephen was in his second year as our executive director. It was Easter Sunday, April 12, 2009, and another NGPA member gave him from Fort Lauderdale notified me he was flying an empty 737 from Minneapolis to Miami, actually, originally. Ended up being Fort Lauderdale. Dave invited me to come along and told me I was welcome to invite a guest or two. And having met Stephen the previous fall when I first moved back to Chicago, by the way, he was the first friend I met when I moved back to Chicago, there was no other choice of who I would take. Coincidentally, it just happened to be that my company was flying an airplane empty from Chicago Midway to Minneapolis with what turned out to be about a 1-hour connection time at Signature Aviation at MSP. Call it good luck or fate, or no matter what your take on it is, no one can dispute that this was meant to be. I texted Stephen and asked if he could go along. He was working at the Apple Store on Michigan Avenue. And he replied, "Whether I can go or not, I'm leaving, I'm going with you." And we were off on our way to Midway Airport and on our way to Minneapolis within an hour or two. As I mentioned, we weren't on the ground in Minneapolis more than an hour, and we boarded the 737, 48 seats, I think. VIP configuration, sports team charter, I forget who they just dropped off in Minneapolis. We were the next passengers. Well, there was a lot of food left over, and the flight attendants were real happy to service down to Florida. As we got on and gave him, asked Stephen if he knew about NGPA, and Stephen said, Well, I know a little bit about it, and Scott's told me about it. But other than that, that was it. But from everything you've heard today, Stephen wanted to make a difference. And Dave told Stephen if he was able to sit in the cockpit jump seat for takeoff, and as much of the flight as he wanted to, would he promise to sign up? And Stephen, without any hesitation, said, absolutely, I'll sign up immediately. And he stayed in the cockpit jump seat until descent and arrival into Fort Lauderdale. And I remember that he made me switch with him so that I could take the jump seat for landing because he felt so grateful that I invited him along. So we switched. It was a beautiful evening landing in Florida. It was 12:30 or 1 in the morning at that point. Exactly 2 weeks later, on April 26th, I checked the date. Thank you, David. Stephen signed up to be a member. 3 years later, he worked through the organization, he made friends, he started changing lives, he gained respect. And 3 years later, he became the executive director. The guy who walked in the door was 2009. During this time, he raised the bar for the organization. He took us to new levels. It's because of his extraordinary leadership, passion, and vision for the future of NGPA that can change forever. Stephen proved how he would do anything for anyone, like two young men who are here today, John Salmon and Dennison Erskiano from Embry-Riddle, Prescott, Arizona, go through here because Stephen had reached out and made sure that they knew they were welcome and they were going to be respected as gay men in this industry. And he made that commitment with everyone. The type of love Stephen led by and the bond which holds us together is due to the traits that Stephen displayed because he was here to teach every one of us to strive just a little bit harder to be a little more like him. All of the things that I've heard today, it's a cookie cutter in every part of his life. Touch. Everybody has the same Stephen to talk about. John held on to Stephen as a mentor because he taught him never to give up and to pay it forward. And John ended up landing an internship last summer with United Airlines and credited Stephen with giving him the motivation needed to make that happen. He told him to do it. And this is only one of, I can guarantee you, hundreds of stories like this that Stephen made over the years that he had an influence for our membership. We will honor Stephen going forward by upholding where he brought us. It is uniquely special that you may have the privilege to watch Stephen grow professionally and see all that he brought about us in the way of raising the bar at NGPA. While the list is far too long, some pinnacle milestones of the NGPA's active paid membership has increased by 40%. The organization evolved from what was largely perceived as a social organization to now one that hosts commercial pilot hiring events with over 10 regional airlines, and just most recently, 8 weeks ago today, 2 major airlines came to our event to hire our pilots because Stephen built the bridge. That was only 1 year, that was the 1 year anniversary since we had the first job fair, which was in Providence County, 2013, and Stephen promised us that he would make this happen. American Airlines and Alaska Airlines both showed up 2 weeks ago, and I found out today Alaska Airlines hired 2 new commercial pilots from this group. It just so happens that that all took place where the organization started exactly 25 years ago next year. This was your dream, Stephen. And to that point, we celebrate next year NGPA's 25th anniversary with you. And it was your son, Kathy, who during his time as executive director took this from merely a vision to creating real opportunity for aviation professionals in the cockpit of numerous commercial airlines across the country today. And I'm sure that many of those who have found jobs and had opportunities are in this room with us today to celebrate all that he gave us. Stephen touched so many lives of those that are here today. So lucky to know him and got to witness one of the world's most true, amazing, loving people, and we will pay tribute for years to come. Most of us here, we can all relate to Stephen as sometimes being stubborn and passionate. Yet, we all know, no matter what the difference is, we never concluded a meeting or a discussion without, I love you. Stephen instilled that in all of us. That was how we led. We held a high degree of respect for one another, and because of that, we were able to challenge and inspire each other in ways never before done within the organization, because it was always the love that we wanted to advance our cause. Another board member described Stephen as the model person that embodied NPA and the Education Fund, which does what Stephen was all about, giving back and taking it away for every other young, aspiring young professionals to have a career in this business. This ability that Stephen was brought about because he was genuine in all that he stood for as a model, proud gay man, never being ashamed. And I can tell you that Stephen gave me confidence in knowing him and realizing that he was professional, he had fun, handsome, and personal in ways that most would yearn to be more like. And I know myself, I will strive to exhibit some of the great examples that this wonderful person left us all with memories of. In our short but precious time together as friends and family. We will never forget the gift you gave us with in both your dignity, smile, and loving manner. When we leave this place, we leave not the memory of Stephen, all that he was, the manner in which he touched the hearts and lives of many will remain for us, with us forever, and by which we will never be the same without you, our dear, beloved friends.